Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy Does It, a podcast created specifically for the amazing members of the MJ team. Rob and I are back with you again, excited for another great episode. As usual, we'll have some news for you, and then we'll jump into our topic. But we are going to start off with something a little bit different. You know, we have been using our grab bag of questions, but Rob has decided to pull a fast one on me today, and we're going to do something a little bit different. Rob, what are we going to do?
This one is going to be a would you rather. So me and my wife, we used to play this when we were dating, and we would always come up with some really vicious ones. So this one's not too bad, but yeah, it'll be interesting. So this one, would you rather, and you can play this at home too. Would you rather be trapped in a small room with 10,000 tarantulas for 10 minutes or eat 10 tarantulas in 10 minutes?
I'm not eating anything.
What?
If it was maybe one tarantula that I had to eat
in 10 minutes.
I don't even know if I could do it. When we watch Survivor, or we used to watch it more frequently than we do now, but they used to have them do that. That was one of those challenge things they had to do, was eat bugs from out in the wilderness.
Right.
I can't. If I get a weird piece of chicken, if I get a piece of steak that is too much fat and I have to chew, I'm spitting it out.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about it being fatty. That's for sure.
But the hairiness and the crinkly, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if it was a regular spider that didn't have any hair on it, like a tarantula. I can't. Now, in the room, so 10,000
tarantulas in a small room for 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
It's just 10 minutes.
You do 1 minute on your phone right now is longer than you think.
Yeah, it is. But it could be an hour.
I'm still going to go within the room with the 10,000 tarantulas for 10 minutes. I will literally be scarred for the rest of my life. But I don't know that physically I could even think about chewing up a tarantula and eating it. It's just not going to happen.
I don't know how Bear Grylls and all those guys. I've watched it on TV, and I watch them eat grubs or different items. But I am not I hate spiders. I hate them, and it's even funny because the amount of times I've gone in crawl spaces and they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I was okay with that, but I don't like spiders. Period. I was sitting in my house. Probably maybe 3 months ago, I'm watching TV, sitting on the couch, and I just kind of see something come into my vision between me and the TV, and it was closer, so my vision wasn't adjusted to the distance. I was like, what is that? And I focus on it. It's totally a spider. And it was coming down from our vaulted ceiling. So I'm like, dude, he's bungee cording off the top rope. And he comes down, and I'm like, I get up, it's dark. So I get up, and I'm like, I have got to catch this cat before he hits the ground or the couch.
He's gone.
And I noticed, certain spiders have different shapes, different kinds. And I'm like, that looked like a brown recluse.
No.
Dead. I was like, hold up. So I turned the light on real quick, and sure enough, it was a brown recluse coming down from the ceiling.
No.
Oh, yeah.
How big was it? The size of?
I mean, it was probably a nickel, or maybe a little bit between a nickel and a quarter, but big enough.
That's gigantic. In my book, that is.
I hope he wasn't playing that, but I was scared because I'm like, they're brown. I'm like, if I don't catch this before I get the light on, he's gonna be gone. But I think I would probably choose the small room.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat a spider. I really don't.
No.
Especially a fuzzy one like that.
And
crunchy little leg.
Gigantic. And you have to eat 10 of them?
Even if it was just eat one.
Yeah. I don't think I could do even one.
I would curl up in a ball in the corner and let the spiders crawl on me.
Oh my God. I wonder.
No, don't bring in the stipulations now.
Here comes the high C. So in said room, can I wear full body covering.
A beekeeper suit.
Yes, yes. If I can go in there and wear a full body covering, then 1000% it's the room. If I can't feel it, I mean, you'd still be able to feel it to some extent, but like if I can't feel it like on my skin, that's too nice of a sound. I don't know why I did that like that, but then I think I would definitely be in the room would be fine, particularly if I couldn't feel them crawling over me. As I would be scarred for life. I don't know that I would sleep another full night again ever if I had 10,000 spiders in the same room with me.
I had arachnophobia in some of those other movies where spiders are running. Even on like Nat Geo or something will pop up on my phone and it's like, look at this cool spider. I'm like, nope.
Scroll.
Yeah, he done got scrolled up. I can't lay in the bed. I can't do that.
No.
Mm-mm. All right, bonus question.
Oh.
We're going to do a double.
Okay.
Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-size horses?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the first one. How am I about to fight off 100 tiny horses?
Just give him a little kick. Just get a little 1-2.
Now here's this is another fear unlocked. Not so much about ducks per se, but birds in general are very unpredictable to me, and that I find horrifying.
Yo, what about people that go on the little afternoon walk here at Morris-Jenkins and they go like near the lake over there and them daggum geese out there sitting on the sidewalk? Don't they know that that's a sidewalk? This is a walking
and they'll
zone.
Hiss at you.
Oh, I've seen it. I've experienced it.
Yes. And you're just like, I'm just trying to pass you by. I don't know where else I'm supposed to go. I can't step in the grass because it's filled with goose poop and potentially snakes. People have seen snakes down there too, copperheads.
Oh, I've seen a snake
Watch your step when you were around the pond.
Have you seen a snake down there?
Yes.
There was a huge copperhead down in the creek. So when you go down, everybody that's walking, always look down at the ground. But I was walking and it was just before the water, like the water fountain spray thing. And you're crossing that bridge. I just happened to be walking and I'm like, I wonder if there's anything down there. I wonder if there's a snake down there. Sure enough, I look down there and there's like a 4-foot copperhead crawling on the rocks, just calm as can be, just crawling. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of wildlife down there for me. So I don't, things with wings like that feel unpredictable to me. Because when are they gonna like swoop at my head? I don't.
You don't know how close you can get to them before they like pop up and start flapping and biting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is, yeah. So I don't think I would want. So I guess then I don't know.
Can you imagine a horse-sized duck coming at you like that? It's not a little goose. This is a horse-sized duck. You go for that?
No, I don't know. Maybe I want the other one now.
You want the 100 duck-sized horses.
Size horses. Maybe they would be able to kick. I'd be able to kick them out of the way better. But 100 of them, I feel like they would overtake me.
I mean, you could run. I guess it says fight. It says fight.
And could I run? Not sure about that either. Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to fight a duck-sized horse. Or a horse-sized duck. A horse-sized duck. I think I would go for that one, number one.
Yeah. 100 seems like too many. You're going to get overtaken.
Oh, you're going to get bit.
This to me goes back to the zombie apocalypse. Is like either way, I feel like I'm kind of doomed.
What did they say on Zombieland? Cardio, double tap, don't go into the bathrooms.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm making it out of either one of those situations.
Yeah, the duck-sized horses are going to overtake you.
Yep.
Got them. Got them. All right, good one for today. You get a double for the Would You Rather.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mind that at all. I was able to give that some thought. See, that's what typically is going to happen for me in a Would You Rather situation is somehow or another I'm just going to come to the conclusion that neither one or just...
I'm dead. in every situation. I'm dead.
It's not working.
All right, guys, we have a good one from you from Mr. Jenkins Told Me. Last time we read from page 127. It was in the very back of the book, the why behind Morris-Jenkins. And so we're going to pop over to number 2. It's on page 128. And it talks about the culture in a service business. And I know that we've talked a lot about culture recently with our management team and just in general. And culture is one of those things that's really important to have at a business. And, Mr. Jenkins often just says the most easy way to call culture is it's just the way we do things around here. And I mean, if you look at our culture here, it's awesome. I mean, playing dodgeball in meetings. We have cookouts. The meetings themselves are great. I mean, just sitting down, we talk about our core values and all that. But I feel like it's deeper than that. You see people laughing in the halls, having a good time. And while we're in here doing heat and air and plumbing and electrical and all that stuff, I mean, people are still having a good time coming to work. And I feel like you don't see that everywhere,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just... I was just thinking the same thing. It's like the way we do things around here is that when I pass somebody in the hallway, like I say hello, I give a genuine smile. I use their name if I know them. I mean, obviously there's plenty of people here that I don't know. But it's like, it's just the way that we do things. It's the way that we interact with each other. If I have a question or I need something from someone else, even if it's a department that I don't work with all the time, I have no reservations whatsoever about walking into that person's office or, giving them, sending them a message on Teams and knowing that they're going to respond back. They're going to help me in any way that I can or that they can. And I just don't think you get that in other places. I think people can, kind of become siloed, kind of off to themselves. And so I do think that it does go deeper. I think the other things are awesome and they make it part of who we are, the dodgeball and the celebrations and those things. That is part of our culture. But I do really appreciate the piece of our culture that's just like, this is how we treat each other.
Yeah.
And it just feels good to be a part of that.
Yeah. It says on the page 128, the stronger the culture, the fewer the rules and regulations you need. When the culture is strong, you can trust everyone to do the right thing. People can be independent. Have you ever noticed how families don't require written rules and regulations? That's because there's such a strong trust in culture that it replaces any need for detailed instructions. In companies where culture is weak, you slow down. Refer to the rules and regulations, or even worse, you call your manager and ask what to do. The end result is a frustrating experience for the customer and obviously for the people too. And that's one thing I often tell the tech builders when they come in is we could have a rule book that's 500 pages long with all these different ideas behind what you need to do if situation A happens or situation B, do this exact thing. But I know we have a great hiring team. Megan does such a good job in finding qualified people, just good people. So we hire for culture. You hire for the person, right? And then we could teach people the skills. But if you do it the other way and you're like, this person's got the skill, but they don't really meet our culture, then you end up changing the culture. And so that's one thing I love is we don't need a big rule book. It's you hire good people, live the core values, and things are good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels good to people to be trusted that way. People feel empowered. People feel like they're trusted to make the right decision. And I think that is that goes back to those human needs and that we all have. And one of the things that we all want to do is feel appreciated and feel needed. And I think that just that level of trust, it makes me think. We use the example in MJ Easy. We talk about Chick-fil-A and the difference in Chick-fil-A and other fast food restaurants. So I use the example, like if I go to Chick-fil-A and I order the combo, right? Let's say a number 1, and it comes out and I didn't get my French fries. If I walk back up to the counter and I say, I'm sorry, I just got my order and I didn't get my French fries. That little girl, she goes to high school. She's like 15 or 16. She does not go get her manager to ask for if she can get me a fry. She does not ask to see my receipt. And they just trust her to say, okay, and she makes it right.
Yeah.
She goes and she gets another fry and she makes it right. Because number one, Chick-fil-A, they probably don't be caring real too much if they give out an extra fry every now and again. I
don't think so.
I think they do them pretty good. But it's that type of thing. Whereas if other places you go, that's just an easy example to use. But we've all been in a situation where we've taken the fries back up to the counter, or whatever it is, that whatever service situation that you might be in, and it's like, can I see your receipt? Can I see your ID? Let me go get my manager. It's like a whole thing has to happen in the register. They print you off another receipt. Like, it's a whole thing. And what's really cool about Chick-fil-A and what makes it such a pleasant experience for the customer and for the people who work there, because you do notice a difference in the culture.
For sure.
At a Chick-fil-A than at other places you go to for fast food service. You do notice a difference. What makes a difference is they just trust her. And they just trust the customer too, to come up and say, I didn't get the fries. Are people going to take advantage of that? Yeah. But I don't think that's the majority of people. You're
going to have most people don't do that.
Right.
But you can't build your entire process off of the 3% out there that may,
get a new,
try to cheat you.
Right.
And I think after a while you realize the same people are going to show up and be like, hey, I didn't get my fry. I'm like, I saw you last week, man.
You didn't get your fries last week
We
either.
are failing you,
Yeah. Like, I think that to me has always been one of those really easy to recognize examples of how we do the same thing here. We trust people to make the right choice. We trust people to make it easy for the customer. And then that just feels like a different experience to everybody. And so I think, while the culture is like running in the background, it impacts so many things. It impacts really everything we do on the day to day.
Yeah.
And I think it's really awesome to be in a place where we talk about culture, where we think about culture, where we keep a pulse check on the culture. I did read in, I think it was How Will You Measure Your Life, which is in the library. BTW, side note, we got a new checkout system for the library, and it's awesome. And we have a book return. If you see me over there looking in the book return every day, mind your business, okay? Because I, in another life, was a librarian.
You even have the glasses.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not a surprise to anyone that would be another type of job that I would really enjoy. So I really like going over and checking the book return every day to see what books have come back.
Would you, by chance, change your wardrobe and then possibly hairstyle and go back to the mall bangs if you were a librarian, or would you just maintain what you got right now? I
think librarians have come a long way. So I would probably just maintain what I have right now.
Okay.
Maybe some other glass choices. Maybe.
You could get really creative with that.
I know. Rock Chick Veronica, she always has the best glasses. Anyway, we have a new checkout system. Super easy. I could even make our frequent checker-outers their own library card. What?
See Meredith.
I know. It'll be super easy. Anyway, How Will You Measure Your Life? It's in the library. And basically what he says in there is that if you don't create the culture that you want, a culture will form either way. So just like in our families, if we don't create the culture that we want within our families, a culture will be created either way.
Yep.
So I think it's really awesome here that we do so much to think about and focus on what the culture is like. We just don't let it happen. We try to really navigate that so that it's a positive thing that permeates the whole business.
Yeah. Yeah, culture is a beautiful thing, but you're right. Any type of group of people, whether it be a football team, if it's organization, whatever, whenever people come together, a culture will form, and it is there. But you have to fight the ease of what human nature is, because human nature, you get a group of people together, it's easy to become negative. It's easy for people to see the not so good things, or be more internally focused versus externally, and saying, hey, we're going to do this together versus I'm going to look out for me. And you have to fight against that. It's tough. Yep. But I think when you create an environment where you have people that know that others have their back, that the mission, I know the mission here, making it as easy as we can for our customers to do business with us. How can we make it easy? That's our mission. That's our focus. I mean, you even think day to day, am I making it easy for the customer? How am I making it easy for the customer? Is this system or process making it easy for the customer? When you start thinking in that way and then live into our core values, honesty, integrity, fairness, and respect, any decision you make, hey, is this easy and is it living our core values? Mm-hmm. Some of the texts used to say, Rob, what do I do in this situation? And it's easy to just say, well, just do this. Instead, it's asking the question, how can you make it easy for the customer? And if it's a moral dilemma, what do you think I should do? Just live the core values, man. We'll support you.
Yep.
And you're making decisions like that, then you don't need a thick rule book, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Jenkins.
He told me some things.
Daggone. He a genius.
Meredith, what are we talking about today?
Today, our topic, which goes along so well with some of the things that we've been talking about recently on the podcast, is confidence. Oh boy. And I think I did not recognize until I was researching and getting ready for today that confidence has such an impact on so many other things in our lives. It's linked to so many things that cause us to live a happier life. And I don't know that, I guess I knew it was there, but I didn't realize that it was linked to so many things that can help us feel a little bit more fulfilled.
Yeah. You think about living like a good quality life, confidence has a big part to play in that. Mm-hmm. And I even found longevity, like living a longer life, which I was like, that's
crazy.
All you got to do is be confident.
I know. I want to live some more years.
Done deal. Done deal. What did you feel like? I know you probably did your own research, but how did you feel like you defined confidence, like yourself?
Well, when you ask me this, it's never really my definition, but
don't look at your page. Don't look at your page. Speak from the heart.
Okay. I would say, which comes from the definition, because I can't just randomly forget it right now, but it's a self-assurance that when things come my way or our way, that I can handle it. It may not be easy, but I have the tools and the skills and the ability to be able to figure it out. I don't know how close that is to the definition that I wrote down. Okay, I'm going to read you the one I wrote down now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Belief in oneself, the conviction that one has the ability to meet life's challenges and succeed. Maybe I didn't have self-assurance in there. Look at me, just bringing my own stuff to the table. So I think it's meet life's challenges and succeed. And then I put this part in bold, and a willingness to act accordingly. So I do think that was something that I didn't think about. I can have confidence in myself, but maybe confidence is like this two-pronged deal where like I have the confidence, but then do I act on said confidence?
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever thought about that before. It's like you can be a confident person, but are you acting on things with that confidence? So I thought that was an interesting part of that definition, is the willingness to act accordingly with this confidence that you might have to meet life's challenges.
Do you feel like if you act like you have confidence, but you don't act accordingly, is that fake confidence or real confidence?
Maybe you can't say you're fully confident if you're not acting on it.
Yeah.
I think about this podcast. So I've said this to you before. I think I've said this on here before. One of the reasons that I'm even doing this podcast is to work on myself, on my confidence, and trusting myself to know that I don't have to have a script. I don't have to have everything written down. I don't have to know every question that you're going to ask me. I don't have to know the topic, because a lot of that comes from my perfectionism, my high C fear, not to fail. So I think the difference would be if I think I can do it and I want to do a podcast, but then I don't ever do it. So I think in order for me to say that I've been confident in this area, I can't only believe that I could do it. I have to actually do it. So I guess that's where that I think I can, and then I actually pair that with action is where I can say, and I can't even say that I'm totally confident in this yet. I'm, and maybe I'll never be completely confident because there's always going to be that little piece.
I think you're doing all right.
There's always going to be that little piece that worries about the failure part and not being fully prepared. But I think that I can say I feel confident when I come in here to do this podcast now. I couldn't say that necessarily at the beginning, but I think it's because it's been a combination of that. I think I can, and now I do. I'm doing it. And I think every time we come in here and we do the podcast, it builds that confidence. Yeah. It builds that muscle.
Yeah. I've seen the most confident people that I know be confident in a moment, but then you kind of get the inside dialogue maybe afterwards, or sometimes you even see there's a little bit of shakiness there, and you think that you have to be completely absent of fear, and you have to be completely absent of doubt and all the little things that creep in. But I don't know if that, like, confidence is, I thought in my mind, it's basically just believing in your skills or abilities. Your ability to be successful, or the skills that you were born with, or your talents, just believing in those things, that they're adequate. Situation comes up and you got to have the courage to step forward. You may not be confident, but you have to have the courage. But like you just said, the more reps that you have in something, the more confidence builds. Yep. I do believe that confidence comes in layers. I do think that certain situations that you're unfamiliar with will present themselves, and then maybe that first layer is a little thin one. You're just like, I'm just going to do it. Let's just see what happens. And to other people, they may look at you like, oh, they're so confident. I can't believe they're doing that. And maybe you just put on a good show, but then you're successful, and then you do it again and you do it again. It would probably be a good challenge for us to go back and just listen to episode 1 again, because it's been a while to see where we're at and where we are now, because I can guarantee there's a difference. I feel different about this podcast just because we've done it a bunch of times. I know you do too. So confidence, I believe it really comes in layers, and the more times you have in something, the easier it gets and the more confident you'll be. I also believe, I forget, one of the teaching books we read, I forget what it was called, but you learn something and then something similar presents itself, and you use your learnings from this to apply to that. I don't remember what that was called. But I feel like the more times you get pushed out of your comfort zone, the more layers of confidence build in a certain area. And when something daunting or challenging presents itself, you're like, man, I've already done this hard stuff. I know that I can do that. Or at least I'm going to try. And being okay with the failure side, I think, can bring even more confidence, because you're not worried about what other people are going to think, or you're not worried about the actual failure piece, because it's be a learning moment. I know that I've had a lot of different moments in my life that have been scary, or I had no idea what it was going to be like, and I was just like, let's just do it. I can't remember if I said it on here, but that Go Ruck that I did all those years ago, I went down there by myself, never done it before. It wasn't cheap, and it was 12 hours, and I had no idea what it was going to be like. And there were some moments in there I'm like, dang, I don't want to do this no more. Like, my feet were hamburger meat. I was tired. I'm like, I don't even know what time it is. And I'm like, I probably have 6 more hours of this mess. And you just keep on going. But that moment right there made me more confident in those unsure moments that I face moving forward. And so you, as David Goggins says, you just grab the cookie out of the cookie jar from those past moments, and you're like, he's like, I'm a bad mofo. I'm gonna keep, like, when you have like hard moments like that, you just use that to build in other areas. So.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you too, is where do you think confidence comes from? And I do think, and one of the things that I read was, which I feel like I knew this, it's not like an innate characteristic fixed and we can't do anything about it. It's ability we can acquire and improve over time. And so I guess I'll ask that question. I do think part of it, like you're saying, comes from experience. It's like, if I can do this I guess, is that like a workout challenge?
You could say that. Yeah, it's like a form of working out. I mean,
yeah, so
throw
like
a heavy pack on your back and you walk really fast.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like it's like if I can do this 12 hours in the nighttime, especially, that's just crazy. Then going to the gym for an hour. That's nothing. It seems like nothing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I've talked about fasting on here because I've been trying to do that more often. It's the same thing. Well, if I think I can go without eating for an entire day, then when I'm hungry for breakfast, like I am right now, I said that before we started.
It's not even Monday.
And so when I'm hungry now, it's like it's much easier for me to just be like, I can wait until we're done. I could probably wait much longer because I've done that before. So I guess one place it comes from is just the experiences that we have that help us to recognize we have the tools and skills and abilities to get through it.
Yeah.
Where else or what else do you think contributes to confidence?
I think confidence starts out, as we're talking through this, it sounds like it starts out as a choice. You choose to do something challenging or different or what have you. But then the more times you do it, then it becomes more innate, if you will. It becomes more secondary, like it just happens naturally for you. So I think confidence, you may not recognize in the moment, may not be aware of it in the moment, but the more times that you put yourself outside your comfort zone, the more confidence is built in things. If you think of any skill, if it's learning how to use ServMan or learning how to talk to customers, it may be uncomfortable at first. I know we didn't get any complaints with Service Titan when we first started with that. Still aren't. But you start something new like that and it's challenging, and some things you have a choice to do, some things you don't, but the more that you do it, the more confident you become in it. Talking to customers is not an easy thing to do. Talking to people, some people it's like pulling teeth wanting to talk to people, but if you're willing and you practice it enough, you can develop that skill. And it's truly a skill. Some people have the talent, the gift of gab, or some people are very relationship driven. They just have it in them. And so developing that skill becomes even more of a superpower. But even if you struggle with it, you can do it if you really want it to. So I think it starts off as a choice. And then over time, it becomes more natural for people if you want it to be.
Yeah, you say like people who have these natural talents. That was another question I was thinking of, is kind of like, do you think that confidence, I don't know what the right way to say it is. Do you think that confidence comes more naturally to people either with certain talents or with certain, just who they are? You know, like, because I was thinking about myself and I wonder if this is, maybe it is the fear of failure, because the fear of failure to me is directly tied to my unwillingness to step outside my comfort zone.
Right.
You know, so I'm wondering if, and I don't like to stereotype disc styles, you know, hear me clearly say, I'm not saying that high C's lack confidence or it's harder for them to be confident. I don't know that that's accurate, but I do wonder if like there is just this who we are naturally as a person. Does confidence come easier because of who I am as a person?
Yeah. I'm glad I like that you asked that. I'm glad you did, because I was looking at what does confidence look like to other people?
Oh.
Because we think about our own confidence, but then you see other people that you admire and you're like, my gosh, they just seem so confident all the time. I do think that there are specific disc styles that have the propensity to display more confidence. But I do think it 100% just has to do with the individual.
Yeah.
Because you could say that, you know, higher eyes, their comedic confidence and like talking to people, like they just confidently can talk to everybody. But to some people, that behavior, you know, they may lean more towards, I don't want to use the word like spastic, but like,
yeah,
they may, the seeking out of approval from other people can come across like more of a needy type. So I think it's how people interpret it. High Ds, people may think that high Ds are highly confident because they can just make decisions. But just because you like to make decisions doesn't mean that you're confident either. Right. I do find that people tend to lean, I think of an individual like Keanu Reeves. So very calm, intentional, quiet, and when he speaks, he typically says something pretty good, like pretty profound. You could say that Keanu Reeves is a very confident individual. He doesn't seek out that approval from other people. He just is who he is, and he's just following his path. And I feel like he's a very confident person, but I'm sure that he has his own insecurities. It's just what we display to other people.
Right.
So I do think it's one of those things that certain diss styles or how we interpret people's diss styles, that's more subjective, and we could say that person's confident or not. I think when you give people the benefit of the doubt and you're like, oh man, they're good people, which we got good people out there, but I think it's just how we interpret it.
Yeah.
I think there's some people here that may come across a little bit more confident just because of the role they're in, their experience, just the person they are, and then other people in their own way, it may display like they may not be as confident, but it's a skill I think that can be developed over time.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to hear, like when you hear from, I don't know, professionals in any sense of the word, professional athletes, professional actors, professional whatever. I think it's always interesting to hear how they may come across as confident, and they may be confident, but for all of them, there is some sort of insecurity. It's which I think that's where a lot of the balance with confidence comes from is, like I think about what's the difference in confidence and narcissism. Like narcissism to me is, I don't know a whole lot about that.
I think it's, when you look at narcissism, it's everything's all about that person. It's not their fault.
Right. It's like their confidence.
I'm not wrong.
Right. Their confidence, or I guess if you want to say confidence, their superiority, I guess, comes from a place of insecurity.
It's high insecurity.
Yeah.
And that's why they put up that, almost that shield of everything's good. I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
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 It's kind of funny how you can pick up on that if you know what you're looking for. For some people, I mean, you could be so sure of yourself that the other person's wrong, and then they do such a good job of validating why you're wrong, even though they have no idea. It's just I don't want to give into that. I don't want to be seen as wrong, but it comes from an insecure place.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of going back to what I like when you hear professional athletes or actors or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's always, I feel like, this delicate balance of recognizing I have confidence in this area and I can do it, but it's also, I also have weaknesses and insecurities. I feel like that's where the difference is maybe between confidence, someone who comes across as confident, and someone who comes across as self-absorbed or narcissistic or whatever. I don't know enough about that word to be using it as freely as I am right now. But like, I think that confidence to me comes across as a self-awareness. Like I have the capability to do this. I'm confident in it. I can do it. But at the same time, I also recognize that I do have weaknesses. I do have insecurities. I do have areas where I still need to continue to grow. I think that comes across, like if you're looking for, like if you're trying to, is this person like confident or are they kind of like self-absorbed? I think it's looking for, can they also be self-aware enough to recognize, I'm confident in this area, but I still have work to do in other areas. Maybe there's like a balance there that I think it's really cool to hear other people who come across as super confident. Like the Olympics are starting soon. I can't wait.
Do you like the summer or winter Olympics more?
I'm going to say summer just because I'm in my summer era right now.
Oh my Lord. I hate when people say I'm in this era. It kills me.
So, because we just got done, like we were watching like the swim trials, we were watching the gymnastics trials, the track and field trials. We were watching. So I'm feeling very much in that zone right now.
Yeah.
But I do also love like when they go flying down the
slope.
Yes.
Ski slope.
Why? That to me is horrifying. They're going so fast.
Oh yeah.
And then they hit those gate things. The plastic sticks.
It's like a slalom course or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
and then don't even get me started on the
gliders,
the luge,
the flying squirrels. Oh, the luge.
Oh, the flying squirrels.
I was thinking the ones that have the big long skis and they go flying down the slope. That's got to be terrible. Imagine flying through the air like that. Like, can you imagine you just like a little ski like leans down, you go flying down to the ground?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
No. My confidence there is at 0.
I love I don't know if it's the decathlon, whichever one, I don't know if it's called that, but it's the ones that ski, they have their little ski slopes and they have the gun. Have you seen that one?
Yep.
That one's my favorite. I can see
that being your jam.
That, of course it is. That one right there, your heart is beating, pounding 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you have to go up to a slope and calm down on this range and shoot these targets that
Don't they
tiny.
lay down?
No, they stand.
Oh.
That's incredibly hard. To stand and shoot, they stand there and they do their little thing. And to stand and shoot, calm is hard.
Yeah.
To be having your heart pumping like that and shoot with a little .22 caliber rifle,
that's crazy.
That's confidence right there.
That's confidence. Okay, sorry. Got us off on an Olympics tangent.
I did want to say something about what you said earlier because I think that there's also a sliver of influence in how we perceive confidence because if you Robert Cialdini's book Influence, it's in the library. There's only one copy, so you have to fight to the death for it. But he talks about the different forms of influence that we have. There's social proof, there's scarcity, but one of them is actually authority. And so when we look at authority, people that are in authoritative positions, I feel like we already give them a notch up of confidence. And a lot of people that are in management or authoritative positions that already have experience. They're in that role for a reason. But I think we can even give them an extra notch in their belt just because of the influence that they have. It's just a natural hierarchy that we have with people. People that are in leadership positions typically are that authoritative side. We give them more air of confidence. So I think we also have to challenge that and not look at it through rose-colored glasses because everybody has some form of unsureness about them when they're trying something like that.
Yeah.
But we look to people that are confident to lead us. So when we're in a group of people, I don't know how many times I've done like escape rooms or whatever, whoever is like, okay, you go over there and do this, you do that. And they may have no idea what they're doing. They just have taken that leadership role and automatically it's like, oh, wow, okay, I'll listen to you.
Okay, what do I do next?
Yeah, and and then it's like the confidence they have. But I don't know how many times I've challenged somebody in that or be like, so how are we doing this? I don't know. This is my first time. I'm just trying to do it. And you're like, dude, like we should have talked about this beforehand, and that changes everything. So sometimes it's that almost that veil of mystery is we don't always peek behind that to see how they actually feel. And in fact, if we did peek behind it, we'd be looking in a mirror because that's exactly what happens to us in those moments too.
Yeah. I think that was, I love Simone Biles. I think she is.
Oh, she is a beast.
This is getting off on another tangent. Did you see when they did a little, like a still shot of her in the air and her floor routine? She was 12. Sorry, I'm touching the mic. I'm getting so excited. She was 12 feet off the ground in her little, you know how they do their little passes across I'm not using the right terms, but she was 12 feet.
She ain't but 3 feet tall.
She high in the air. So anyway, I think that she's amazing. I remember back to the last Olympics where she was just really open and honest about where she was mentally and how she felt like she couldn't move forward without risking injury to herself and ultimately letting down the team. Is so much pressure on her, and
it's understandable.
And so I think that's one of those examples for me where it's like, she comes across as like, and she should be confident. she has every single reason to be confident in her ability, but going on there in the background is still those other pieces I think have their own sources, as like with the incredible pressure and the things and competing at such a high level, but that's the kind of thing where you recognize that just because people come across as confident, she's a human just like you and I. Like she can come across and she can jump 12 feet in the air, she can do all of those things, but at the end of the day, even though she does have the skills and abilities to be confident, there's still this piece of her that questions that, or is...
She's human.
Yeah. Yep. And so like you're saying, looking in the mirror, I think a lot of times we recognize that although people may come across as confident, this idea of there being this balance between the confidence, but then also, like she did in front of the entire world, she was able to say, this is something that I need to work on. I'm not in a place right now where I can navigate this. I thought that was incredibly courageous and brave, but also too, I think just a good example of how that to me speaks volumes about that might be more confident in my eyes of her than actually getting out there and performing, is to be able to say in front of everybody, I can't do this right now.
Right.
To me, that might be the more courageous thing that she did. So I think that's where I think it's just interesting to recognize that all of us have that balance.
You just saying that, I feel like made a connection in my mind, is the observation of someone else having courage to us may translate to confidence.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that could be something that anybody could walk away from, including myself, is just being courageous in those moments. If it's, speaking to something like that, which is scary. I mean, I can't imagine the sponsorships and the expectations, the pressure of the entire nation is watching and you're representing the USA. Like, I can't imagine what that must have been like. But making that decision, the amount of courage that must have taken, and for all of us being like, man, that is confidence right there. Making hard decisions when it counts, and when it matters, taking care of yourself. So man, I can't even imagine being in that situation. That would be really hard.
Yeah, it's one of the things I wrote down too, which I thought which kind of goes back to a bit of this piece of not worrying so much about what other people think, because obviously I'm sure that was part of what was going through her mind, is what's everybody going to think if your team, your quit,
country,
and I hate even using the word quit, but it's like, one thing I wrote down was it's actually counterintuitive. When you have more self-confidence, you're actually less focused on yourself, or you're less focused on what's everyone thinking about me. So we did a tech talk about confidence last year, and one of the things we talked about is like when you have self-confidence, when you walk into a room full of strangers, it's much easier for you to engage in conversations with them and truly want to meet and know people, because you're less worried about what they're thinking about you. So when you walk into this room, and listen, we'd have all been there. I'm pretty sure, or maybe I'm just speaking for myself. When you walk into a room and you don't know everybody, or maybe you do know everybody. I don't know that really matters, but it's like, what are they saying about me? What are they thinking about me? What are they saying about what my hair looks like, about what my about what my clothes, what judgments are they making about me? When you have more confidence, you're not thinking about those things. This is the way that I look. This is the way I'm showing up. And that's what I'm confident in those things. So you release all of those thoughts from your mind. All of those really, that's kind of negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Like immediately thinking everybody's judging you. So I think that to me is interesting. The more confident you are, the less you focus on yourself, the more availability you have in your brain to make room for the conversations, to get to know other people.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the benefits of having confidence, is improved relationships.
Yeah. You'll improve relationships. You'll improve your quality of life. There's so many of those benefits that go along with that. There's that, before I forget it, there was something I read. It's from Alan Watts. It's called the backwards law. Have you heard of that?
No.
As soon as I read it, I was like, well, that makes perfect sense. It says the more you try and gain something, the farther you are away from that thing. Mm. So if you want more money, and you're like, all right, I'm going to make more money. I want to be filthy rich. I want to have the most money that I can possibly have in my life. He was offering that the more of a scarcity mindset you'll have. You'll be more frugal and want to hold on to every penny, even though you have a lot, and you'll never have enough.
Right.
So you're more poor than ever because you're always in that.
Mm-hmm.
The more you pursue someone, the more needy you come across, the more that you push them away. So it's like when you come in, it's like, I want to please everybody in this room. And it's like, I want them to like me and all this and that. And now you become across needy and kind of odd and weird. And like, what's wrong with this person? And then you get rejected and you're like, what? Or if you're going to go talk to a fellow or a lady, and it's like, I just want them to like me. And like you show up and it's like, who's this freak that just showed up over here, right? It's like the more that you want something, the less, the less you have of that thing. So in fact, sometimes even in confidence, go back to the situation. I walk in the room, there's 5 people in there, and I need to, I want to gain their approval and whatnot. Typically, the more confident individuals, the more mysterious the individual, or the more educated the individual comes across, the more that people tend to like them. Mm-hmm. So if you come in there and it's actually the opposite, I don't really care what they think about me. I'm just here to be myself. What's going on? Hey, how you doing? Look them in the eye, shake their hand.
It comes across so much different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't care if you like me. That's
right.
what comes across as confidence versus I care so much.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
That is. Yeah. That is so counterintuitive to me. But I also think it reminds me of like when I walk into, and I didn't think about this in that respect until just now, but like when I walk into a classroom and I'm getting ready to teach, obviously I want to come across as confident. But I never think about that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that to me is kind of my own version of this: walk into the room and want everybody to like you. Of course, when I walk in to teach a class, I want people to feel like I'm confident in what I'm doing. I am confident in what I know, but I don't ever think about that.
Yeah.
And I hope that people think that I come across as confident. I feel like I come across as confident.
Yeah, you do.
But I don't ever think about that.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, going back to what we talked about earlier, I've experienced that. I'm nervous. So, I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm not coming in there like thinking I got this in the bag. I'm nervous. But it's that to me is maybe because I've done it. I've had multiple experiences where I've been able to kind of navigate the things that happen in a classroom. So maybe just innately or internally, I've internalized all of that. Yeah. So when I walk into a classroom, I'm not thinking about, come across as confident, know everything you need to know. Like I'm not thinking any of those things, which I think is kind of my own illustration of this counterintuitive of I don't think about coming across as confident, yet I can come across as confident.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, the backwards law. It's a good one. I never really thought about it in that manner, and then when I read it and was watching a video, and I was like, it's kind of interesting. Mr. Alan Watts, he's a smart guy. Mm-hmm. I do think that there are ways of showing confidence because it is a skill. It's something that you work on. Have you heard of the book, The Charisma Myth? Have you heard of that before?
I've heard you talk about it, but I have not read it myself.
I was trying to teach a class, like I offered it to the techs. It's probably been a year and a half ago, but we were talking about what is confidence? How do you come across like that? There's body language experts out there. There's all kinds of people that talk about how to build your confidence. And her name is Olivia Fox-Cabane. She wrote a book called The Charisma Myth. And she offers in this book that confidence is, to your point earlier, not a talent. It's a skill that can be taught. Because we can see certain behaviors in people that exude confidence. And a lot of that stuff you can learn on your own. But she says there's 3 ingredients to charisma. The first is presence. So it's being fully present in the moment. So if you're trying to show confidence with people, your mind's not wandering elsewhere. You're being fully present with that person. So I think that's a big piece of awareness, truly paying attention to people. Another one is power. So it's the perceived ability to impact others. So when we look at powerful people, they have power. They have your boss has the ability to impact you, right? But when we look at people in positions of authority, going back to the book about influence, that there's a lot of confidence that goes along with that. So that's something that it dives into that, but she talks about your appearance shows power, how you dress, how you present yourself, how you carry yourself.
Hence the reason we wear uniforms.
Yeah, uniforms. Some people will dress up all the time. Like they talk about the clothes that you wear, they show power. So perceived wealth, if you will. Some people drive the nice car, they got the nice clothes, they broke as a joke. But it seems like they have confidence because it's like if they have that, then they must be confident, right? Then she talks about like expertise, social status. That all shows power, and we associate confidence with that. And then the last one is warmth. This is my favorite. But in being present with people, when we perceive that someone has goodwill towards us, that also builds in confidence. So imagine sitting there talking with somebody that is dressed clean, dressed nice. Maybe they're in a position of authority, a boss or whatever it is, but they are warmly listening to you and actually being present in the moment. Those things right there help build what she calls charisma, which if you build enough charisma with people, it turns into confidence. People can perceive that as confidence as well. So she goes down these long tangents about each one of just how to show charisma, how to develop and build that skill, because it truly is a skill.
Yeah, so going back to the difference between someone being self-absorbed and someone being confident, I think that warmth, which is probably why you like that one so much, maybe, I think that's the difference. Because if I'm sitting across from someone who is dressed nicely, drives a fancy car, has all these things, but they are not listening to me, they are behaving coldly, my impression of that person is ill. It's like
using a technical term.
We like to bring those professional terms to this podcast. It's like that comes across to me as a little bit more self-absorbed, because you put a lot of thought into what you're wearing, what you're driving, maybe even if you have like the latest technology and all these things. But if your behavior towards me, all of that's great. But if your behavior towards me feels some sort of way, I take that as self-absorbed. But if the exact same person with all of those things going on for them behaves warmly and responsive and listens to you, my interpretation, like you were talking about earlier, is completely different of that individual.
Yeah.
Man. So that's the linchpin, that's like...
It's the deciding factor there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can perceive your outward appearance literally on two opposite ends of the spectrum just by the way that you interact with me.
And I think we've all seen those types of people out and about, or past jobs. We've all experienced those people. And I even think in your situation when you're teaching a class, if you're standing up there, or really you do these things anyway, you're standing up there, you're teaching a class, you already have the power, quote unquote.
Right.
It's like I'm teaching this class. I know when people ask questions or they offer comments or or whatever in those classes, you're present. You're listening to what they have to say. And one thing I do appreciate about the people that work here is even in those classes, everybody else is doing the same thing. They want to hear what other people have to say. We're all here in a learning moment. And then the warmth side, you already have that anyway. I love your PowerPoint that you'll play at the beginning, and you show the family and all. They can kind of get to know about you, but then you have a good time in there. You're laughing with people. You care about people. I know even after you walk out of the class, you're like, man, what could I have done better? And people come up, Meredith, I have a question. Yes, how can I help you? Like, you are that person. So, you have those ingredients right there. And I know that it doesn't come across fake or anything else to anybody else. It's genuinely who you are.
Yeah. That's fascinating to me now that I think about that it's like you could have the exact same person and just those interactions can completely change the way that we interpret that person's intentions. That's really crazy to me.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to have to read the Charisma myth
Yeah.
now.
Do you feel like there are other things that we could work on to try to build our confidence? Is there anything in your studies that you came across?
Well, so some of the things we've already talked about, I think a couple things are limiting the negative self-talk. We've talked about that on the podcast quite a few times. But I think that I don't know how many times I got to say it, but our thoughts create our feelings, create our behaviors, right? So if my thoughts are always like, I can't do this, I can't finish all these projects, I can't get this done. If that's the talk, then the feeling is kind of, despondency, like I don't have the skills, I don't have the ability, and then the behavior is I don't get it done, So I think that self-talk is so important, because if we turn the self-talk around to I got this, I can do this, it might take some extra work, so I'll give you an example. I was just reflecting on this week, which maybe this will tie into another episode called procrastination, but so we're getting ready to leave to go out of town for a couple weeks here shortly, and it's just kind of how it always works. But there just ended up being like 9,000 things that needed to be done.
Just 9,000.
Just 9,000. So just this week, it was like, I did the license class yesterday morning with Catherine. We had our training department meeting yesterday, which I had to prepare some materials for. We had this podcast to get prepared. I have lunch and learn tomorrow. So
then you're gone Thursday.
Right.
Yep.
Now, like I said, in another episode, we can talk about why I've left all these things to do. In another episode, we can talk about why I have left all these things to do in these 3 days.
I have confidently, intentionally placed everything just before I leave for vacation.
So, okay, whatever. That's what it is. I can't do anything to change that now. So, but not once have I felt in the course of these, days leading up that I couldn't do it. And I think it's because I've had lots of things on my plate before, and my self-talk is, you've done this before. You've done this before. You can get all of these things done. Did I have to do some work at home? Yes. Right. I put myself in that position. I can't blame nobody else but myself for that. So, did I have to do some work at home? Yep. But I never once thought, I'm not going to get all of these things done before I leave. I'm not going to show up today unprepared. I'm not going to show up tomorrow unprepared for lunch and learn. I just know I'm going to get it done. And so there's no other choice in my brain. The thought is, I'm going to get this done. So the feeling is, I don't know what the feeling is. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's, I can, and then my behavior is I just start knocking stuff out. So I think the self-talk piece is huge. So I think that's one thing, is really watching the self-talk. That comes up quite a bit when we're talking about these things. Stop comparing yourself to others. comparison is the thief of joy, right? So like we talked about before, if you're spending so much time worried about what others are thinking of you, then you don't have headspace to do the confident behaviors.
Right.
You're too focused on the internal things. Surrounding yourself with the right people. Lord, we done talked about that 100 times too.
Man, that's easy, man.
Yeah, if people around you are always like, I can't do it, I'm not going to be able to finish this project, then you just can't. You innately take on, some of those thoughts yourself.
I think people undervalue the benefit of having the right people around you.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes we don't have a choice. Sometimes it's just family. Well, we did one class and we were talking about your circle. I can't remember if we've said it on here or not, but we were talking about your circle of people around you, circle of influence, people you allowed on the inside and all that. And I said, man, if they are not adding quality and benefit to your life and you feel like they're bringing you down, cut them out and move on. And then one individual was like, what if they're your family? And I'm like, well, I didn't think about that.
It's a little bit more delicate.
Yeah. Well, see me afterwards.
We'll problem solve.
Man, and that I don't really have an answer to that. That's a really challenging moment. And I mean, I almost think in my mind, it's like, how can I be the beacon of light and be that positive influence? I mean, they're my family, they're my blood. I can't get rid of them.
Right.
But how can I be a beacon and maybe help transform their life? But I think keeping the right people around you is extremely beneficial. I've got a great group of people around me. A lot of some of my closest people that I have in my life are here at work. I spend a lot of time on the training team with you and Shallon. The operations team, there's several people on the operations team that are some of my closest friends. I've got some close friends that work here with me too. And it's like keeping these people around me is great because the positivity that comes from these people is, number one, great. But two, each one of those people, all of y'all are high performers. I think Jim Rohn, I don't want to jack up his quote, but go to where the demands are high and the expectation of performance is high. Like that, you want to go around those people because if I sat back too much, like if I took some time off, if I stopped going to the gym, I wouldn't make it a week before Mark's like, where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
If I let off the gas and we color our priorities and all that stuff of how we're doing in our progress for the quarter. If I slacked off for 2 weeks and I'm red for 2 weeks, my team would be all over me. My wife is amazing. If I was slacking off too much, she gonna let me know. So each person in my life helps push me to that good space, even if it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I feel like that, and I can't. You hit the nail on the head. I'm glad you said it first, but that positive self-talk piece, I do want to speak to that because I don't. That having the right people around you is one piece. The person that you spend the most time with is yourself. And if you are spending most of your time with yourself and you're talking negatively to yourself, you are not going to have the confidence, the qualities that you need to be successful. On our softball team, this was probably 4 weeks ago, we had a big tournament. And the coach, I love Coach Dave. He's the man. He's the guy that I would match against Adrian of the most positive person I've ever met. And so he's like, Rob, you got some goodness for us? Got something to teach us? And we were just in between games, and I'm like, I guess. He's like, do you have a motivational video, something, or something you could tell us? And I'm like, well, I mean, I could probably figure something out. He's like, all right, cool. We'll do it in 20 minutes. And I was like, all right. So I hop on my phone and I was like, oh, wait, there's this really good video by Jocko Willink and it's 3 minutes. And he just talks about the word good. And I can link it in the thing. We may have linked it before, but he says, hey, if you didn't get the job, good. You have time to get better at the one that you're currently at and make yourself more qualified. You got injured, good. You have more time to work on something else. He could list all the possible things that could happen in your life that would be in a negative. But if you reframe them as positive of good, it allows me to. I get to do this because, right? If you can reframe that, things change.
Yeah.
The world around you changes. So I told the girls because we were doing okay, but we could have done a little better. We lost a couple games. And I said, what happens if you miss a ball? What do we say? And all the girls looked at me. They're like, good? And I'm like, yes. Why is it good? And so then the girls are like, well, so that means somebody else has my back, or I learned what I did wrong and I can do it right. Right. What happens if we get tagged out at base? Good. Good is right. What do you know you need to do for the next time? If you always get it right, you'll never have the opportunity to grow and learn how you can be better. I said, you don't want to win all the games. Winning all the games doesn't teach you anything.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you go against teams that aren't as good as you, you're not going to grow. You want to go against people that are better than you. So better than me means they're harder to play, which means I'm probably going to mess some stuff up and lose. Good. So that positive self-talk, it's not only just reframing the things that are maybe I can view as negative in my life as positive, or reframe them of how can this be an opportunity, but it's also believing in yourself. I am capable. I am worthy. I can do this. And I truly believe that the whole fake it till you make it thing is real. Like if I'm not sure, I'm about to go and teach a class I never taught before, and I know you've done this before too. It's just like, hey, never taught this class before. I have no idea how this is going to go, but I'm prepared. I'm eager to be here. We're going to do this thing together.
Yep.
Like let's roll.
Yeah.
Those little self-talk moments make a massive difference in performance and confidence.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting that you and you alone are the only person who can truly reframe that for you in your mind.
Yes.
If you're waiting on somebody else to help you change your mind about a certain situation that you're in, if you've been injured or if you didn't get that job or whatever it is, nobody else, they can help guide you, they can listen to you, but you and you alone are the only person who can change the way you think about that situation. And I think that's why it's just that piece is so important, because the opposite of that too, which going back to living a happier, more quality life, is if the self-talk is negative, then all we're doing is feeding fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
And that does not lead to a happy life.
And it doesn't lead to more confidence.
Right. So it's like it's not only is the negative self-talk not giving you more confidence, but it actually is feeding something that we don't want as much of. Not that fear and anxiety are bad. We all need those pieces of us too, but we don't want our self-talk to, not only it's not helping us with our confidence, but it's actually feeding something that makes us feel worse about ourselves. So I think that's the self-talk piece. It doesn't just affect your confidence, but it also then affects your quality of life in, the way that you're feeling about yourself and the world. And so I think that's another one of those benefits of confidence is less fear and anxiety, because you're not feeding in or focusing on that negative self-talk.
Yeah. I think if you almost have the visual of, when we're eating food, which I always like to think about that. when we're eating food, you are, with every decision you make for every meal that you have, I am bettering my health or I am worsening my health. Literally, it's binary. There's no kind of healthy foods. I'm eating the right stuff. I'm eating the right amount of protein. I'm eating vegetables. I'm doing all the things, or I'm going to eat fast food, processed food, potato chips, whatever that is. It's very binary. And if you think about in your life, Coach Dave just texted me, am I making decisions with my self-talk to better my mental state and my confidence, or am I robbing myself of this? We're always going to have those self-doubt moments. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with the self-doubt. That naturally is going to pop up. But what you do with it after that, are you transforming that self-talk, that doubt, into something that's going to build your confidence?
Yeah.
And I think I don't think that we recognize that we can use those negative thoughts as tools to build our confidence. Because if it's I don't know if I can do this, does it matter? You've done the work. You've prepared. Of course, you're going to maybe be quote unquote nervous. I always tell the girls, you're not nervous, you're excited. There's a difference between the two, right? It's really, you got the butterflies, right? Yeah. And your heart's beating a little fast. Yeah. Your palms sweaty. Knees weak, arms are heavy. No, I'm just kidding. Your palms are sweaty, right? All these are the same attributes as when you're excited. So if you reframe it, it's not nervousness. It's I'm excited. You can reframe all those if you choose to. But something that we have to be conscious of is rumination, thinking about it over and over again, thinking about past things that happened and not letting those things go. I can't do anything about it anymore. All I can do is focus on the future. We could spend an exorbitant amount of our life living in a past that we can't control and can't do anything about. It's already over. And sometimes we can spend too much of our time thinking about the future and just anticipating this thing that may never come and cause stress and anxiety. I mean, how many times have we all found ourselves worried about something that's to come and it never happens?
Yeah.
And then our life was a nervous wreck leading up to it, and it didn't happen. Like, oh, I'm so glad that didn't happen. Well, your quality of life wasn't better, right? It's okay to anticipate things, but you got to live in the now.
Yeah.
And confidence isn't in the future. Confidence is in the now. So you have to be present, like what Mrs. Olivia was saying. I got to be present in the moment with the people I'm with the things that I can't control in order for me to have the confidence and have that quality of life I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think this is where I was just surprised at the ways that it impacts our quality of life, with better relationships, less fear, and anxiety, greater motivation, more resilience. Like there's just, the list goes on for how confidence helps. I also think it's interesting that you brought up the taking care of your body. The choices that we make there, those choices in and of themselves also impact our confidence. I think we've talked about that. I'm no fitness queen over here. Okay, so let's just go ahead and say that. I'm not on here to preach about going, I can't say that. I'm doing better and I'm taking steps in the right direction, I think. But one of the things that I read about was how much taking care of your body impacts your confidence.
Yeah.
The amount of sleep you get, what you eat, if you exercise, all of those things play a role in your self-confidence. And I think we know that, but we don't always necessarily make that direct connection about when I'm taking care of myself. I actually have a quote here. I don't know who said this, but I thought it was good. Taking care of your body doesn't just mean looking good. When you make yourself and your self-care a priority, you are projecting to the world that you matter, which convinces others to feel the same way about you. So if I'm taking care of myself and I'm saying that I matter, innately that shows and tells other people that I matter, and that I'm confident in what I'm bringing to you as a person, because I take the time to take care of myself, which I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Is when you take care of yourself, that can come across as confident because I'm important enough to be taken care of.
It's rare that you see somebody that looks disheveled and unkept that is highly confident.
Yes.
You said, I matter. And so it's almost like the other person, you should say like, hey, you should feel like I matter too, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like you matter. And I think that just goes back to that being present with people and being warm. But if you take care of yourself, all you're doing is amplifying that.
Yeah.
So just generally taking care of yourself and other people is only going to boost that.
Yeah. It makes me think of, I think you might have said this quote last episode, where Jim Rohn says, I'll take care of me.
For you.
I'm taking care of me. So it's not, if you take care of me, I'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. It's, I'll take care of me so I can take care of you. You take care of you so you can take care of me.
Yeah. That's a different thought.
That is definitely a different thought.
Yeah.
And so like for me, like that's one of my biggest values, is to be helpful and take care of others, which is a lot of reasons why my own self-care comes last. But it's really interesting to think of that way. The reverse is, if I prioritize my self-care, then I am available and capable of taking care of others.
Yeah.
Much better.
I think that's like when you have, it can happen, is sometimes parents, it's my kids always come first before even me. Mm-hmm. And so then they They don't exercise. They don't get enough sleep. They don't eat properly. They wear themselves down. And then over time, the quality of how well they can take care of their kids starts to wane and drop. And so there's nothing wrong with making time for yourself. I mean, I know that it wasn't like this always before, but I've made it a point to switch years back. Is I would go to the gym later in the day on the way home, and then I was coaching late at night, and I would come home and I wouldn't have time with the kids, or it'd be very minimal time. But I was like, man, I want to prioritize my family, but here I am showing that I'm prioritizing working out or coaching. And so I've changed that. Now I'm not coaching anymore. I'm coaching my kids' team, different kind of coaching. But then now I'm not going to go to the gym after work. I'm going to go in the morning. So now it's 5 o'clock. I'm there. I'm working out. I got to wake up early. And the most lovely thing in the world is at 8:30, it's bedtime. Like, I am sleepy at 8:30. But now I can go to the gym first thing. I can still come to work and get my work done. And then I am home at a normal time to be able to spend enough time with them. By the way, sidetrack. Have you played Uno No Mercy yet? Have you heard of that?
No.
Yo.
But I do. Okay.
It's crazy that we just bought it like 2 days ago. We talking about spending time with the kids. We played it nonstop every day. Charlie's like, you want to play again? You want to play again? It is Uno on crack. I don't know if I can say that on here, but we are. But it's like you have draw 2, like normal, draw 4, draw 6, draw 10, reverse draw 4.
What?
Then you have like roulette cards you lay down, and I would lay it down for you, and you have to just choose a random color, and you have to keep drawing from the stack until you get that color. Here's the crazy part is you can stack the draws. So you can do, like, if I lay down a 2, you can lay down a 2, and now I have to draw a 4. You don't have to draw anything. But if I lay down another 2, now it goes back to you. And you can only lay the equal value or greater. So if I lay like a draw 6 and you lay down a 2, it don't count. It has to be a 6 or higher. My child and my wife keep blowing me out because I'm like, oh, here's a 2. And they're like, here's a 2. Here's a 4. And then I'm like, here's a 6. And then we get up to 10. And I'm like, shoot, that's like 24 cards. If you hit 25 cards, you're out. Oh, yeah. There's even trade cards. There's like a 7 that you just choose someone you want to trade cards with. So if somebody's down to 1, you could trade with them and be out. But the funny thing is we played probably 7 or 8 times, maybe 10. It feels like 100. No one has gotten Uno. Like no one's. Oh, actually, my wife got it yesterday. Oh. Just got it yesterday, and I made a dumb choice. I made her draw 4, but she laid her card down. I don't forget what it was, but she got out of it. I was so mad about that.
Oh.
She'd laid a +4 down too, and she got out. But we were playing for 30 minutes. It's a long game. But anyways, spending time with family is important. You have to prioritize those things. I want to say one more thing about confidence, because I think this is something that can help build confidence over time. Actually, I do want to say 2 things. One is stepping outside your comfort zone. We talked about this on a previous podcast, but intentionally stepping outside your comfort zone and doing things that make you uncomfortable that you would not be confident about helps build confidence in the unknown. When you're more comfortable with the unknown, you will show more confidence. It will be displayed as confidence. But you have to make the choice on what you want to do. The other thing I want to offer to everybody, because all these things are the internal side of confidence, how mentally can I do these things? But we know that confidence, there are certain, I don't know how to say it. There's certain things that people display in their body language that shows confidence. So you can mimic confidence, fake it till you make it. And there's one book called What Everybody's Saying, and he talks about body language only, just how to read body language.
Also in the library. In the library.
That's a good one. I think there's more than one in there. But there's certain things you could do. Brandon Anderson said this to me one day, because I'm a high S for disc. I take my time. I will walk down the halls taking my time. I'm not in a rush to get anywhere. And I remember he said to me one day, he's like, hey, when you're walking around, when you're doing things, move with a purpose. It shows confidence. It shows that you got things to do. Even if you're just going to the bathroom, walk with confidence. Because he says people are watching you all of the time. And I was like, all right. So I actually will catch myself walking down the hall, and I'm like strolling, then I'll pick up my pace and keep walking. But it's funny. If this is you guys out there, try it. Walk down the hall with like 10% more speed. And when you see people down the hall, look them straight in the eyes. Hey, how are you? Good morning. Like, it's a statement. It's not, hey, how are you? It's, hey, good morning. How are you? Like, it changes how people react around you. And it's funny because people will, it's contagious. People are like, I'm doing good. I hope you are. Yep, I'm doing great. Boom, down the hall. I'm going over there, hit my copies. How are you doing today? I'm doing fantastic. Are you doing good? Yep. And then boom, I'm going back to my office. I mean, it's just right around the corner. But if you move everywhere with that, it's just a small body language thing you can do. Looking people in the eyes, increasing your speed. They talk about handshakes. You want to match pressure plus 1%. Look people in the eyes when you do it. How we sit or how we stand. Typically more confident people stand with a little bit wider stance. It's just the idea of taking up space. More confident people take up space. Just think about people, they sit down in a chair. More confident people may take 2 chairs. They'll put their other arm on top of the other chair beside them. Or, you see the classic, they kick their feet up on the desk, But they talk about gorillas that are more of the alpha type. They beat their chest and they get real big. Animals that are challenged get big. Cats, they raise their hair on their back, right? So he talks about that's what confidence or like that assertiveness, quote unquote, looks like. So how can we show more confidence? I can walk with a little bit quicker speed, firm handshake, looking people in the eyes. You can puff up your fur if you want to. Just take up a little bit more space, right? And those are small things that you can do, and it is truly a skill. You have to think about it, but then all of a sudden you do it enough, and it becomes part of who you are. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on with Meredith right now, but man, she's changed, right? And you can change those little things about yourself, and people start to notice it because especially the ones that are around you all the time, they're used to a certain behavior. Yeah. And when you start to change things, people notice. I notice Thedrick in accounting. Me and him have this weird dynamic. I'll see him in the mornings. I'm like, not you again, man. Dang. I mean, we work in the same. We go to the same kitchen and everything. But I'll see him in the halls, and I'll give him different responses day to day, or I'll say something different to him, or I'll walk differently near him, or whatever. I'll make a joke that's different every day, and he's just like, "You're so weird." Like, he has no idea what the normal me is, and I don't know what the normal him is either. But if you alter and change things, people don't know what to think. But if you consistently give those confident displays, that's how people see you. Yeah.
I like how you can, those are great tools for faking it till you make it. Like if you're not sure where to start, just walk a little bit fat, like walk with a purpose. That's easy enough to do. I also think we talked about stepping outside your comfort zone. I also think one thing you can do is keep doing the things that you're good at. So do the things that make you step outside of your comfort zone, but also keep doing the things that you're good at. Because when you keep doing things that you're good at, your confidence builds. It builds in that area, and then you can use that confidence to spill over into other areas. So it's kind of like do a little bit of both. Keep doing the things that you do well, because that will continue to build your confidence, but also step outside of that comfort zone and use some of that confidence from the things you do well to apply to the things that are new to you, or may make you feel a little bit nervous.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Excited, not nervous. Excited.
That's right. It's all the same, right?
Not nervous, excited.
How have you felt in your particular journey with confidence? Like, I can't talk now. What have you found has worked best for you? And then were there any setbacks along the way to where you're at right now in your confidence?
I think a big piece of mine has come from the self-awareness piece. I think it's recognizing, how do I know how to step outside of my comfort zone if I don't know what my comfort zone is? So I think that is a lot, to me, comes back to a lot of the self-awareness piece. So going back to doing the podcast, it's how did I know that this would be something that would be outside of my comfort zone? Because I had to think about what are the things that I'm not doing that would fulfill me, but something's holding me back.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of like internal dialogue and reflection. And that's the kind of thing you have to have in order to say, okay, this is something that I would like to do, but I'm scared to death. So how can I put myself in a position to have to work on this? And then here we sit doing this right now. So I think that has probably been, that's probably been the biggest thing for me in kind of this journey, is recognizing what is my comfort zone and what's keeping me from stepping outside of it. And I think if you find something that you really want, like I really wanted to do this, and there have been moments when I have thought I'm not the right person to do this. And I'm not saying I'll never feel that again, but I think that recognizing I really want to do this, what's holding me back, and what's holding me back was the fear of failure, the fear of not knowing what to say, the fear of people saying her voice sounds weird, she talks too slow.
Who said that?
Who said that? I've said that to Michael. Who said that, Michael? Anyway, but those are all stories I've made up in my head. No one said that to me. So I think that for me, it comes back to what is my comfort zone and how can I step outside of it? And that takes some time of working on yourself.
Yeah. I do think when you have setbacks in your life where maybe you feel confident in something and then something humbles you a little bit, or it just, maybe it doesn't even humble you, it just takes you a step back. I think you have, to your point earlier, that awareness of, okay, I can tell my confidence is shaken. What's going on? What basics do I need to get back to? Why do I feel like my power has been taken? I mean, I keep going back to sports, but you think about, in softball or baseball, you have your swing, right? And you can maybe crush some balls and you're doing good. And then you just have a game where it's just terrible. And just coaching some of these girls through how to get that back. Like, hey, what's the difference between practice and a game? What was the difference between last game and this game? I mean, maybe they had a good first few innings and then all of a sudden it's just gone. I told one of the girls, you are one hit away from being back. That's it. Or one pitch away from being back to the normal you. That is it. So it's what's the next step? And so then we go back, what are the basics, mechanics of swings? Sometimes it's, hey, you're just taking your eye off the ball. That's it. Or, hey, maybe you're just a split second too late. Your timing's just a little off. That's all it is. Just increase your timing. One of the kids, he was always swinging high on my son's baseball team. I'm like, your swing is beautiful. I couldn't coach you to swing as well as you're doing right now. You're just high. That's it. I said, or he was low. I said, hey, swing a little higher than you think. And he'd swing, and he was like, oh, he's so close. I'm like, dude, you're there. Swing a little higher. He's like, higher than that? I'm like, swing higher. And we're on a machine, so it's consistent. And all of a sudden, he just smokes it. And the look in his eyes, I'm like, that's it, dude. I'm like, how did that feel? He goes, I felt like I was swinging really high. I'm like, you're actually like just above your belly button, big dog. Like, but that's the zone, man. And I said, I need you to freeze that in your mind, and I want you to swing the high. Here, do it again. And then all of a sudden, he was on. I mean, it took, but here's the part of the story that I think people struggle with is we played 9 or 10 games. He was hitting last season really well. He didn't hardly hit a single ball the entire season. That's the reality of life, is finding our confidence, gaining things back, or learning a new skill. We think it's going to come quickly. Sometimes you are completely walking in the dark and have no idea when it's going to hit, but when it does, you'll find it. And I think that's where we have to have the faith in ourselves and our abilities and our tenacity to stay after it, stay in the mud and be like, good. I am glad that I'm here right now. Yeah. I am going to get this. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to get it, dang it. And I think that's where that transformative moment. Nobody likes the story that the hero figures it out in 10 minutes. That would be a terrible movie. Yeah. And so this is our life, is staying in the zone, keep on doing it, and you'll get there if you're tenacious enough. Life wants to know how bad you want it. And so you got to keep on pushing, and you'll get there. Yeah. I think that's great. Heck yeah, boy. Okay. I don't know that I can adequately summarize. Rapid fire this this trash. Come on now.
I don't even know where to start.
Okay.
Okay.
I've been talking for 30 minutes, but I got it. Hey, don't compare yourself to other people, right? That will rob you of your confidence. Comparison is the thief of joy. Step outside your comfort zone. Like you said earlier, I wrote it down. How can you step outside your comfort zone if you don't know where your comfort zone is, right? Clearly, Meredith drew the line at eating spiders earlier. Not doing it. Just sit in a room as long as she's wearing a suit. Hey, treat yourself with respect. Positive self-talk is absolutely huge. You can do a little bit of visualization. You can fake it till you make it, right? There's some body language cues you can do. You can increase your step rate. Hey, the backwards law, Mr. Alan Watts, the more you try and gain something, the farther away you are from it. If you're trying to gain confidence, especially in communication with people, if you care so much about what they think, it can actually alter that. So there's some different forms of thought behind that. But confidence isn't a talent. It's not just something that we just have. Even though we might feel that way, it's actually a skill that can be developed over time. So how are you developing that skill?
Yes.
Anything you want to add?
Surround yourself with the right people.
Oh, yeah. People.
Yep. Surround yourself with the right people. And also the reason why, which we've kind of alluded to all these things, why should you be working on your confidence? We've talked about having this higher quality of life, this happier life, less fear and anxiety, greater motivation. Go back and listen to our episode on motivation, but having confidence helps you with that, more resilience when things aren't going great, and improve relationships. When we have this confidence to be ourselves and to show everybody what we're good at, but also what we're not good at, what we're not so good at, then that can help improve the relationships through our confidence. So if you needed a reason to work on your confidence, I think those are pretty good ones.
Yeah. And every study I've ever looked at, none of them give me an actual number of how much more time, but there are so many studies out there that people that have that positive mentality and are confident in themselves live longer lives. So I don't feel like there's no argument there. I think we all want that. So just give yourself a little tweak there.
Give me a few more years. I'll take them. Okay. So our question for you to answer in the Q&A on Spotify is, how would you rate your confidence level right now? And what strategy could you take from this podcast, even if it's just walking with a purpose, looking people in the eye, giving them a firm handshake? Even if it's just one of those simple things, what's something you could start working on today that would help you take that confidence level from the level that it's at now to the level above it? So just something for you guys to think about as we step away from this episode. Do not forget to follow Easy Does It on Spotify or Apple so you never miss a new episode. We hope that you guys have a wonderful 2 weeks until we are together again. Thank you so much for listening. Until then, peace, love, and Easy Does It.
Appreciate y'all.